Hello, Uta here with a little seedling of a spruce tree, probably. I just found it growing among the flowers. The birds must have spread the seeds from the pine cones, and we'll have to plant that out somewhere to mature into a big old tree, probably after I'm long gone. So this is a little late afternoon studio blog at Trans Widow Uta Hagen YouTube channel. I first want to just preface this with the information that Michael Knowles, with whom I don't agree on everything, but he was kind enough to do a lengthy interview with trans widow Tracy Shannon, and it's uh, posted at a podcast that I have in the community posts. He said that he can't put it on YouTube because YouTube has threatened him that if he misgenders any more people, such as saying someone's ex husband is their ex husband, then um, he'll be, you know, permanently banned or something. Um, well, here I am with our little channel. I don't know, but I think that this is an indication of something interesting regarding attention on us former spouses of these dudes. And Tracy had a lot to say. I had to add one more to trans widows who have been physically assaulted by their cross dressing husbands before they left, so that out of 47 of us, it's now 12 who were physically assaulted because she hadn't mentioned this before, but he threw her down the stairs. And her children reminded her that that happened. Also, she mentioned that each of her three children had had suicidal ideation, and two of them had to be hospitalized. So that increases the suicidal ideation in children cohort to six, and the hospitalizations to three. So I have to count up how many children there are in our 47 trans widow group, because some women didn't have children with the guy. Um, but this is a post about gender hybrid children, supposedly, that exist according to Diane Ehrensaft. uh, so, uh, oh, yes, let me read the four new hybrid things. It's kind of interesting. We've got a car name here: Gender Prius, half girl and half boy; Gender Minotaur, one gender on top and a different one on the bottom. I don't really understand what is the physical difference between this and what they call non-binary. The Minotaur idea is pretty odious because in ancient Crete, there was, this is during antiquity, uh, apparently actual children were sacrificed to some Minotaur temples or something. Thank you to Stella Maris, commenter, for giving us this historic information. Then there are these two that seem to be very flexible: gender by season. You could be one thing in the winter and one thing in the summer, or gender by location, meaning at home you're one thing and away from home you're another thing. So now these two last ones I think are giving me a little bit of optimism, actually, because um, that means that you shouldn't think of it as a permanent thing, as pervasive and insistent, and all these other concepts that they use to justify all this money making alterations. So this is from National Review. It's by Wesley Smith, August 16th, recent. Um, and he starts off, gender ideology is growing increasingly extreme, and particularly as it applies to children. We're being told that children can identify as one gender on the top and another on the bottom, or half boy and half girl. I don't know if they're envisioning a vertical line dividing those two things. I mean, so this clear break from biological reality is being supported by adult mental health professionals steeped in gender ideology who are credentialed in that type of thing. A California hospital executive and professor, Diane Aronsoft, claimed children can identify as mythology-inspired creature and claimed that this category of children love mermaids, as if mermaids are anything but a fiction and as if mermaids should be some kind of topic of study. Aronsoft, who is the director of mental health and chief psychologist at the UCSF, that's the University of California, San Francisco, Benioff Children's Hospital Gender Development Center, made what some may consider fringe claims about gender ideology. That I certainly believe this is a fringe claim. And so that's the thing with the Minotaur, and I just went through those four at the beginning of this, her new hybrids. Okay, yes, and they're ignoring what all these European countries are now saying. Denmark is apparently weighing in after they had a study that showed the suicide rate actually doubled in in the 6 years post treatments. Okay, so Norway, Sweden, Finland, the UK, some doctors in New Zealand, and some doctors in France are all questioning this, but instead, I think Aronsoft might be kind of coming around possibly to biological reality by saying, oh, yeah, these things aren't necessarily permanent. They are simply a child's fantasies, and we just need to teach them more about mermaids. Mermaids needs to be, an academic subject, despite the fact that all the reading scores and math scores and things are going down. Okay, so, in light of California and other West Coast states saying that they're going to take children away from parents who say, wait a minute, let's talk about reality. um, hmm. Where is this all going? On the gender ideological left, there is no longer such a thing as fringe. Yes, yeah. I'd love to be a fly on the wall at my ex-husband Nettie's 3 million uh, paid off mortgage co-op apartment in New York City. Okay, and of course, we have this celebration. There's some coffee company in the UK decided to use a female chest with these scar marks across as if it's some kind of ritual scarification, religion that we should worship the way they worshipped minotaurs during polytheism. Okay, and who would have thought that doctors would perform facial reconstructive surgeries on teenagers to masculinize or feminize their appearances? Now, any anesthesia can be dangerous, and any surgery involving the jawbone can be dangerous. This is where your teeth connect. So this is just really, really medical malpractice. And then, of course, we have, our friend Wesley Smith is bringing it all in. Well, then we have the HHS official, Rachel, formerly Richard Levine, praising a gender-inclusive biology curriculum and going to Alaska to some kind of gender clinic and praising them when they have even more mother erasure and They have phrases now like gestational parent or egg carrier. So, mothers are just surrogates for the male uh, impetus to do whatever they want. Um, Aronsoft is very credentialed and frequently published in medical journals, whereas there's a recent case where Marcy, former Mark Bowers, who went to the University of Wisconsin, Madison at the same time as me in the late 1970s, didn't know him, but that person, Dr. Bowers of jazz fame, was one of the signees insisting that a paper on rapid onset gender dysphoria teens be unpublished from Springer Medical Publisher, and succeeded in this. So that just shows that they are basically mainstream gender ideologists. I would love to know what the heck my ex-husband thinks about all these variations. Was I supposed to suggest to him that maybe in the winter you just want to be something else than you want to be in the summer? So, don't take all this diagnosing that happened in one appointment seriously. Oh, she's also a professor, this Aronsoft woman, at University of California, San Francisco School of Medicine, specializing in pediatric gender affirmative care for transgender and gender expansive patients. So it's, this is this invention of the prestige of the cross-sex world. And what she says is, I totally agree that we are in the midst of a gender revolution, and the children are leading it. And it's a wonderful thing to see, and it's humbling to know that children know more than we do about this topic of being gender expansive. The woo, it's so thick you could cut it. She, I guess, used to be a feminist back in the 1960s. I don't think she's a feminist now if she thinks that men can be women, if she thinks that Nettie, who was narcissistically abusive and financially abusive to me, is in our sex category. Anyway, and she says this quote. Now, we've got genders moving boulders, and it makes a lot of people nervous. So, where do these people get this proclivity to make really inept generalizations and metaphors? Okay, and then she goes on about the gender web. Each person's web will change over time as they age. And so then you shouldn't do any surgeries because your web might change. The chief spider in the web, Diane Aronsoft, might come along and spin something new for you. You better not do something irreversible. What's your gender? She says, don't answer until you hear all of your options. Well, I hope all of those options just go on forever and ever so that you never have to answer and you never have to engage one of those prescription injection promoting doctors and surgeons, scalpel wielding surgeons, who are going to change it forever so that you cannot expand your web as you go on in time. Okay, so she is credited with introducing gender fluid and non-binary and gender expansive. She cited her conversation with a 7-year-old as the proof. And she introduces it by saying, as you know, language is political. So what's good today will be politically incorrect tomorrow. Yes, and politically incorrect is cis. Politically incorrect is uterus haver, cervix haver. Those are all very, very insulting to women. And she says, a boy twirled in my office and said to me, see, I'm a Prius. And so he knows that a Prius, an expensive hybrid car, is two things. And so he's saying, I can be two things, and I'm going to label myself with automobile language. and saying I'm a boy in the front and a girl in the back. This is just uh, kind of beyond. Okay. Uh, Aaron Soft. Oh, the last word is she thinks that gender minotaurs love mermaid content. Well, that would make sense. They probably love unicorn content um, and uh, Valkyrie content. Uh, yeah, yeah. So, how are you ever going to learn what is real in the world? How is a teacher like me in kindergarten, while doing the academic work of teaching children to read and write, how is that teacher going to distinguish between fact and fiction? Because that's one of these sort of sophisticated things that we do teach when we're teaching reading. It's very important to know if you are reading something that is true or something that is made up. It's important to know whether that's what you're writing. Uh, you know, we we have to tell children the truth. We have to keep it real. Think about after you've watched one of my videos, think about clicking into one of the very short ones at my wellness movement playlist. Because if you do those things and then do this vagus nerve exercise of leaning one ear towards your shoulder and then looking down towards the other side until you yawn or sigh, and then do it from the other side. My neck is a little stiff. Uh, that is a vagus nerve exercise. This is what we need to teach children. We need to teach children these pressure points so that they can self calm. We need to teach self regulation, not Dr. Aaron Soft dysregulation. Please be sure to share this anywhere that she would see. Please. I'm banned from X and Twitter, X and or Twitter. But if you're not, you can just pop it over to her. And if you are a trans widow, please contact me through utahagengrasswidow.wordpress.com. That's almost always in the notes, the contact form, and I will send you the questions of the 20 questions to ask a trans widow. We're going to have over 50 very soon. And yeah, we need to start telling our stories. Thank you to Michael Knowles. And, I think it is on X. You can find it somewhere, the hour and a half that he had with Tracy Shannon. And thank you, Tracy. You are one brave woman. We need to invest in each other's bravery. Be well always.